Hi, everybody. Welcome to No Show. I'm Matt Brown, joined as always by Jeff Borman. Oh, what to say about our guest today. His interviews with hotel luminaries are legend. His understanding of how and why the hotel strategy and branding in this world works is unparalleled. His humor and approachability make him one of the most well-known, most sought-after figures in the business. And I am, of course, talking about advocate, commentator, educator, and strategic advisor Glenn Haussman. His podcast, No Vacancy, is essential listening for anyone in the business, and it features notable names in the industry, coverage of major events, and reportage on ideas and economics. He is a go-to expert on hospitality, featured in USA Today, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and numerous other publications. And he is recognized as one of the top 100 most inspirational people in global hospitality. But here's what we find really special about Glenn. All those other things are incredibly special. But here's what we find so special about this person is his absolute joy of discovering the tactile pleasures of a hotel. He's been in this business for a long time, but he can still marvel and revel in the textures, the design, the nooks and crannies that make all these spaces distinctive. That comes through every show, every presentation, and every interaction with this man. Glenn Haussman, welcome to No Show.
Hey, thank you so much. And let me say, now I better freaking deliver after that.
You better. It's in the contract.
Yeah, when we were discussing this, I'm like, got to keep expectations low, make the sucky parts,
Matt wrote the first intro about Glenn Haussman, the Australian Olympic swimmer. So
which was better in a lot of ways. Yeah.
So my childhood friend's parents were in Australia and he won some big thing and they came home with Glenn Haussman wins Olympics or gold medal or something like that on a newspaper, which was really pretty awesome.
You should have him on your show.
Haussman on Haussman.
Glenn, if you the way I've been looking forward to this interview is it's like I get to interview the person who interviews all the CEOs. So you essentially, you saved me a lot of time. I just ask you the question and pretend it's like an amalgamation of all the CEOs around the business. Are you cool with that?
I love it. I think that's a great idea because honestly, I'm doing the same thing. I go to talk to everybody at all these cocktail parties and stuff like that, get all the intel and then pretend I know what I'm talking about. So, it's a virtuous circle of stealing from each other. I love it.
So I'd like to start kind of a little bit on the current. Chris Nassetta was very optimistic. And we just went through a round of earnings calls and he seems to stand alone. At least in how pronounced he is about hey, this is temporary and everybody take a pill, let's get through a quarter and then we'll really worry if we have to.
Right.
When you talk to industry leaders, what's the sentiment really out there sound like to you?
All right. So they are saying behind closed doors, they are all working to convince each other it's a blip that's going on. And it's an endless feedback loop on that. My concern is that it's not a blip right now. If you look at what was going on in the market, and I don't want to be a pessimist over here, people. I want to be a realist. And that's why when I'm out on the road, I'm preaching, got to get back to hardcore tactics, basics, all that kind of stuff, because the market was getting weak. The numbers were all going down. The consumers are feeling more pressed, I think, now than ever before. And I think that starts to add up to problems. I'll break it down in a couple of different silos. One, me personally, my experiences, my travel expenses have got to be up 75%, maybe 100% from 2 years ago, for sure. That's one thing. I paid $7 for a cup of coffee, plain black coffee at a major casino resort. I think that's really symbolic of how pricing is going. I'm seeing more and more reports that people are looking at fast food favorites as more luxury items now and as treats as opposed to an inexpensive way to eat. So when you start to add all of this up, set against the backdrop of tip everyone all the time for no matter what they do, I feel like everybody's feeling nickel and dimed. And one of the ways that we can cut back on that is to cut back on some trips or down trade and type of hotels that we have. And I'm really concerned we're at that point right now. How much more can we get out of the consumer? I'm going to say not much more. So we've got to get a little bit more clever. We've got to get a little bit more. We've got to get a little bit more smart in order to be able to make sure that this is a blip and not something much worse. But guys, it's a cyclical business. I think things have been artificially good for a long time, and we've got this incredible resilience. So that's good, but I do think we're going to have to take a deep breath there.
No one here blinked an eye when you said $7 for a cup of coffee in Vegas. That feels like the mean. That feels like, oh wow, where'd you get a $7 cup of
just
coffee?
Plain black coffee, not a coffee drink, not with 5 pounds of cream and caramel and stuff on it. I mean, drip, drip. Period. The end.
On a recent episode of No Vacancy, and actually we talked about this a bit on something recently too, we shared similar sentiment about the commoditization of luxury. You mentioned $7 coffee. It makes my head go right to a burning question that I think we all have, talking about where luxury fits in the current environment. The $5,000 a night hotel is really luxury, and the $1,000 a night hotel no longer is, or it's something along that scale. What do you think this movement does to the biggest brands in luxury? Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, Mandarin, Waldorf.
Huge opportunity for them. And I think that's exactly what Jan said. We've all observed everybody's going hardcore into ultra luxury because that group is immune from everything. And if we've all been watching, and again, I don't want to be Mr. Sad Sack over here, but if we've all been watching, the United States has basically been coasting for the last 50, 60 years, not reinvesting in infrastructure, not doing this, not doing that, while at the same time devaluing the working class and creating a schism between the top 1% and the 1% of the 1% and all of us normies down below. So I think there's a lot of real situations in the general structure of our society that may be a problem coming to roost that we're not really addressing. But when it comes to the ultra luxury segment, baby, they got it all. And no matter what, if we go into a depression now, they're going to scoop up more and have more. So the only way to really make any real money, I think, in the long term is to find ways to get those people to empty out their pockets, because money doesn't mean anything to them like it means to most people.
Common folk can stay at a Ritz-Carlton now. And 25 years ago, that wasn't in their realm. That wasn't in the thinking.
And I think that says a lot for how a big chunk of society has been lifted up for sure. But man, if they're charging, and I'm not Ritz-Carlton in particular, but if you start charging $500, $750 a night, unless you're of a certain ilk, beyond a special occasion or a splurge, I mean, really, how realistic can that be for most people when you think about how much it really costs after, drinks and dinner and this and that,
And does it need to be realistic though? Or does luxury, until 25 years ago, all of human history, that level of luxury was only affordable to the 1% of 1%. All of a sudden, especially in America, but a bit globally, now all of a sudden 10% of the population was able to get to the luxury level. Maybe it just needs to get back to luxury is defined as that tiniest part at the very, very top.
Maybe it does. And one comment that Jan said is they're not really breaking anything out to an ultra luxury segment because it really starts to kind of become amorphous. What does that even really mean at some sort of level? But Jeff, I agree with you. And I think both things can be right at the same time, because luxury is great and luxury will continue to be great, and aspirational is fantastic. I love, let's just say, one of my favorite places, the Fairmont in Banff, right? That no matter what they charge, if I want to stay there, I'm going to want to stay there. So, it is what it is.
I wonder what the next word will be. Like, from the consumer side, everyone's telling me they're luxury. I get hit with luxury all the time, even though they're not luxury.
Luxury apartments are opening up absolutely everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And those luxury apartments, went up in 3 months, and they're 700 square feet. And they, so I'm wondering what it's essentially become green. It's become the catch-all that a lot of people in the industry are using to define the experience that they are purporting to provide, but don't actually provide. So I wonder what that next linguistic change will be when we start moving away from
Right.
having 18 different scales of luxury, and then there's a new word that defines the rich, rich, rich.
There's got to be, because we need to continue to segment these things in order to have a better understanding of it. There's a reason why, well, what is it? The Eskimos have 32 different words for snow, right? Because there's so many different types and variations that you got to have a name for it all, so we could all have a common understanding of it. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think, in our English language. Maybe we should coin some phrases, and then we can take credit for it.
Sure,
That'd be
sure.
nice.
Speaking of green, Jeff and I have been talking a lot about sustainability, as has the whole industry the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And in various studies, it is always in the top most important subjects in travel. You may get a little research bias there because when people are filling these things out,
Yeah,
they
of course.
want to they want one of the top three things that's important to them to be sustainability.
Right.
But nothing ever tangible really happens. Is that
Right.
is that true? I mean, the shipping industry,
You are correct.
cruises, just became the first to adopt a global system that
Right.
charges companies for emissions, and this is a landmark moment for climate accountability. And if cruise ships can pay for their pollution, we were wondering kind of which industry is next. Can hotels ever do this?
Yeah, I mean, what about win credits and stuff like that? It's just a three-card money shuffle, all of that kind of stuff, in my opinion, right? But when it comes to sustainability in general, people's hearts are definitely in the right places, and group business has become something that's essential. But I don't think the everyday consumer is really thinking about it in a conscious level when they're saying, click, I'm going to make that reservation, as they do when they're in social circles talking about it or asked questions about it. Because fundamentally, the hotel that I think people are going to stay at every time is the one that's in the right place with the right amenities, that's the right vibe. And then the last thing on their list is going to be sustainability. I can't imagine somebody saying this hotel is perfect, but I'm afraid their water usage is a little too much. I'm going to stay 5 miles away and burn gas instead. I just
Yeah,
haven't seen that yet.
and I think business travel would suffer from that. Especially it's like, okay, Seattle Convention Center, I'm ready. Let's go to the conference. But I'm staying at a sustainable hotel in Olympia.
Right. I
So I'll be
appreciate it.
driving about an hour in to get to
Right.
that.
Right. I appreciate it. But a lot of what we do in the hospitality industry and in the world in general is a lot of fun semantics and playing games with language and the way we do things in order to think we're doing something when we're not actually doing something. And I enjoy pointing those things out.
I kind of agree with both of you, except Matt, you just gave the example of business travel. I think that's the one exception where there is a real chance
Yeah.
that behavior will be shaped because it's determined by somebody else, right? If Deloitte decides that only lead hotels are going to be in their corporate program, they can control that and they can force that action. And
Right.
Glenn, to your point, as soon as there's a consumer who's saying, I'm going to stay across the street or 5 miles away, thank you very much. Across the street, give me an $8 coffee instead of a $7 one.
Right. Again, it's another situation of both things can be right at the same time. There is a big segment of hotels that must do everything to be sustainable, or else they're going to lose millions of dollars in business. But one of the things that we do in the hospitality industry is we tend to think that every hotel is the same, but they're not. And it's really fun as a sport to talk about this or that. But it really comes down to the fundamental dynamics of every single property, what their positioning is, what they're trying to do, because a Super 8 off I-95 is not going to be as focused on sustainability for the good of the universe as, let's say, the Omni next to the convention center, right?
So, I mean, in summary, would I be accurately describing your take on this as it's ultimately up to the consumer and that stands little chance?
It is ultimately up to the consumer, and currently it stands little chance, and only because I've seen this for 20 plus years now, and it seems we're always on the precipice of this big breakthrough. I don't know, maybe Generation Z, Generation Alpha will actually get us over the hump, but convenience trumps all, and price trumps all over everything else. I love sustainability. I would like to take a moment to brag that we just adopted an all electric vehicle right now and got a special plug and everything here in the house. But when it comes to business, we have to be realistic as well, and you have to understand who's going to be paying to stay in your hotel or eat in your restaurant, and then put your sustainability practice behind that, or use sustainability as a way to save money through tax credits, or just because it's a cheaper way to do business in the long run.
There's a big Europe parallel where I think those things, there's proof to what you said, where there is more accountability in Europe around the subject. Now, whether the measures actually support what they think they're doing is totally different, debatable. But they've got metrics, they've got goals, and generally seem to have a more conscious consumer making those choices.
Totally. I'm a big believer in the market drives everything, and sustainability will eventually take off when it is cheaper to do the right thing than to cut corners. And it will happen. It just takes time. And I've noticed with everything in life, it takes a lot longer than we all just imagined it would originally. You know?
So sticking with follow the dollar here, right?
Yeah.
Labor costs dangerously higher than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think that today's wage growth, and I'm talking about more like the hourly, the lower management level, do you think today's wage growth and the aggressiveness of the current labor market is a result of excessive executive earnings? And I'll give you a second here. Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott execs pulled around $50 million a year last year. Glenn Fogel at Booking, when different Glenn, $100 million. You were probably 250. Glenn Fogel, 125.
Yeah, I made $75 last year, but sadly I blew it all in a casino. So there's that.
I'm a hardcore free marketer, but I also see the rub here when the average worker has a wage capped at 3% a year, not keeping up with inflation recently, and then astronomical figures like these are made public. My question is, do you see a correlation between the conversation driving wage growth at the bottom and the kind of astronomical rise that's happened in the last 5 years at the top?
Great question, Jeff. And the way that I see it is, I think that people that are typically in that level of employment through all strata of society, I think that they're not really paying attention to what's going on with the CEOs. Like, hey, that specific dude is making a lot of money, so I should be making more money. But to go back to what I was saying about this schism in society, I think that is definitely permeating through with the way people feel, and that there's like these people at the top are making so much money. I should be getting my fair share too, and they're not. So this starts to worry me on a more macro issue than a few dollars more per hour. You know,
we kind of saw this a little bit in the 08 to 10 recession in banking. Right. There's a lot of public anger about bailing out banks as bankers were collecting massive payouts.
Yeah, but they always win.
I wonder if that's not happening in our world. If you're the union rep and you represent 100,000 employees across New York City, and you start quoting numbers like this, no, we really do deserve our 7. And I'm not your union advocate. I'm not the right one. It's not my fight, by the way, either direction. Okay. Yeah. But I would think there has to be some pent-up angst when the people who were furloughed during COVID also saw that the LTI gained at the top of the food chain was their best years ever.
Right. Exactly. And this is the one thing that really frustrates me, is that people say inflation, and then corporate profits are at record highs. So what's the truth? Right. And again, I just go back to, I'm very concerned that this split in society is becoming more pronounced and more dangerous to our economy, and maybe beyond that as we continue to move forward into summer and fall. So I don't mean to be, again, Debbie Downer, but there could be some rough times ahead, but I think that people at the top are going to be just fine spending money in luxury hotels.
They'll still say it, the Aman.
Totally. Yeah, I'm not even allowed to say it. I don't make enough money. You know?
Glenn, you mentioned on No Vacancy recently that you lament being traveled out at the moment.
I do.
Are there market trends or sentiment that makes you fret that maybe you're not alone in that? Do you sense a kind of fatigue out there?
I think number one, it has to do with the fact that I'm getting older and I've been doing it for 30 years. So I feel that my statement is very much of me as a human being and maybe people who have been at it for 30 years as well. And me and these others that I feel kind of similar, we love being places and being with people. Just don't like driving to the airport and parking and waiting online for the TSA and waiting for your zone to be called and all of that stuff, and the lounge is too crowded because and you thought it was going to be a respite. That's the thing that's really becoming more of an issue, I think, for myself and people of my, ilk, not the travel itself.
Yeah, what concerned me about it a couple of years back, when everyone was recovering from the pause in travel, 21, 22, that era. Speaking with a friend of mine, well up in a major consultancy, and she was saying that the people of our generation loved being on the road. Mm-hmm. And the people of the youngest generation coming into their workforce as young consultants, the road warriors, the mm-hmm. Sunday through Thursday types, that generation doesn't want to be on the road in the way that those prior did.
Why?
And that's a concern for me as I look at the way our business has been built.
Something doesn't make sense to me there, Jeff, because every piece of evidence that I've seen is younger generations are more the experienced generation. They're moving more away from things. Sure, there's the TikTok culture of, hey, look at how I'm living. I'm so rich and stuff like that. But I think fundamentally, people would rather go to a music festival than buy a Birkin bag or whatever the famous bag is of the day, right? So I don't get why people wouldn't want to travel as consultants. To me, and maybe just old man, get off my lawn, Glenn over here, but traveling on someone else's dime to cool different places and eating in great restaurants and meeting new people in your 20s and 30s, freaking come on.
What could be better?
Come on. Yeah. You want to be stuck behind a desk every single day? You complain about that too, because you want to be remote and doing things and mix your lifestyle. So that's why I don't get that. I think that great salvation for the hospitality industry are going to be great companies that understand that digital nomad and really kind of putting the pieces together. And it's probably why one of the reasons why Marriott bought Citizen M, for example, over there, right?
I just think they were bored and sitting on a mountain of cash.
You gotta deliver to those shareholders. Continue to expand.
You got to make sure it doesn't come out in dividends. Better spend it faster.
Do you think any of it is related to? Okay, millennials. They now have 10-year-olds. They now have kids who are grown out of high school practically.
Truth.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and it's like the demands. It's sort of like a friend of mine. You told me this about golf a while ago. Even though golf kind of waxes and wanes depending on a lot of factors, but it's like. Gone are the days from like the 70s where it's like dad leaves at 8 a.m. and comes back a little tipsy at 6 p.m. It's like, no, that our family schedules are just not that way. And that the old time, okay, honey, I'm off to the airport to go on my consulting visit to Dallas for 4 days. Good luck with the kids and I'll see you on Saturday morning.
Right.
That dynamic has just changed both family-wise and personally for people, and that has led to maybe not for exotic conferences like, oh great, this will be a great vacation, let's go, and then they can bring the family out after, but that weekly grind of travel that used to dominate, I feel is looked at askew by younger generations.
It may very well be true, but again, I think we're just making broad-based statements, and all of these things can be true amongst different subsets of the population at the same time, which will still keep you right and hotels satisfied, right? One of the things that I've seen over the last 30 years is as the hospitality industry has grown, it's grown because our number one, our society has grown in size and also in desire to travel more. Plus, we've had a great shift. So as long as population keeps expanding and all of that, I think there will still be a lot of travel. And those that could connect work to play, I think are going to be in a great shape as this travel thing starts to continue to cost more money. So I feel like I've said a whole lot of declarations and then walked them back all in the same conversation. But I do think it's all true, depending on the angle you're looking at it.
That's right. If you predict a market contraction every single day, you will eventually be correct.
That's right. And one of the things I love about making predictions is I can make 1,000 of them and no one's going to call me on it. But if I get one right, I can pull a clip and go, see, I told you. Yeah.
That was very presidential of you.
Thank you very much. Sadly, I'm not smart enough to actually record any of my proclamations. So if I was right, no one will know. Yeah.
Shep Gordon, the guy who launched Emeril Lagasse, essentially created the celeb chef putting cooking on TV.
Yeah. Bam.
In a certain way, every chef today is afforded more creative license and a little more respect because of what Shep did. The entire elevation of culinary standards in America has a lot to do with him making cooking as entertainment. Why the long soliloquy about Shep Gordon? Because the hospitality needs this, Glenn. And as our leading voice in the business, I'm asking you, will you be our Shep Gordon? Do you accept the challenge?
I totally accept the challenge, and I will do the old improv. Yes, and in fact, tomorrow, as we're recording this, I'm off to the Memphis in May competition where I'm joining a barbecue pit team to help them do a cook. So yes, I am in, man. And I will tell you, speaking of Emeril, you also got to give credit to Wolfgang Puck for opening Spago in Las Vegas, which I think between those two events and all of food TV stuff really changed the way all of society interacts with food, and it's made everyone really in a better place.
Do you think there's a place in that travel channel environment, Food Network environment for more hospitality, meaning hotel-centric style entertainment? Your former partner did something.
Anthony and I have trouble getting our schedules together, but we're going to be moving to more, instead of a live, a recorded schedule, so we could try to align our schedules better in order to have him do more shows. So look out for that. I think we're seeing a big seismic shift in the marketplace. And while one of my dreams may have been at one point to get a show on Travel Channel or one of those other things, I don't think they're really relevant to the conversation right now. We've really moved into a world where you can be your own creator and have incredible success, both notoriety and financial, with tools like YouTube. That I'm more of a LinkedIn guy, but man, if I was coming up today, I would find a fun, interesting angle and do it through YouTube. There are so many great travel-related shows out there. I'd love to get involved in something that's a little bit more wonky, like, my walk and talk videos with casino executives and stuff like that. I'd like to see those take off. But there's so many great people out there doing amazing content that's right for the world that we live in today.
Speaking of casino executives, time for the lightning round. First up, Glenn, you corral many CEOs and C-level guests. How do you get good answers from them versus ads? Because we've all interviewed these very, very nice people, very smart, and you know what? Things are great. The quarterly is great. Occupancy is great. The brand is great. Everything is just so great. And how do you get them to kind of come back down to earth and give you the real nitty gritty sometimes?
Oh, blackmail. I got files on these people. The real answer is I'm not 100% sure. There's something about my personality that I'm told makes people feel really comfortable. And people have a way of sharing things with me, either on air or randomly on a subway, that you wouldn't expect. So I don't know. I just send good positive energy that you're in a safe space and I'm on your side kind of vibes. And people are willing to share more than they otherwise would have when their defenses are up and they're worried that they're going to be caught in a gotcha sort of game. I'm not here. My mantra is educate, empower, entertain. I want people to kick ass. I don't want to challenge somebody. I don't care about politics and getting involved in any of that kind of mess or hospitality politics. I just want people to learn and be more successful in their business and be able to provide for their families and stay at the Ritz-Carlton whenever the heck they feel like it.
Is there anything particularly unique about being a media voice in hospitality versus other industries?
Yeah, we got the coolest freaking business there is, man. I think about this, how freaking lucky I am to be in this. I can't imagine you would have the story possibilities and the visual possibilities in so many other industries. Chemical engineering today might be like a cool publication to work for, but I that's not my vibe, right? Other than maybe some industry music magazines, I can't really think of anything that's more exciting and interesting that's so layered, that you could tell great stories. So I got to figure that they're happy in whatever industries they are because they don't know about how amazing our industry is, right? Because our industry is every industry there is. You mentioned design, technology, real estate, customer behavior, right? So many different areas. It's just insane. No matter what you want to talk about, we can talk about it in a hospitality context. So the content is endless, but how much can you really talk about, new pest control chemicals or something like that?
Not for very long, no.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the music industry being another
Yeah.
one. Personal question. Are you a Phish fan?
Uh, Worst band ever. And I know that because I've seen more than 200 shows. So I'm going to keep going back until they can prove themselves. 30 something years trying to figure this out. Yeah, no, that's my jam, so to speak. Yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah, no, your signature sign off is a direct
Yes.
fish line. I had no idea. And listen, this guy like this can't be a mistake.
That was not a mistake.
You two, you
tried to
two are
separate
birds
them.
of a feather.
I did. I see. They're right there. Yeah, man. I will tell you. I had. I know you didn't ask the question, but one of the best moments that I've ever had in my entire career was uniting three of the most important things to me that makes me of my essence. Phish, my love of how awesome Las Vegas is, and how happy I am with how much work I put into my career every single day. And I'm sitting there, the guest of a Venetian at the luxury box at Sphere on the first night of the first four shows of all, and I had all four there. So I was there that first night, and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm getting to see my favorite band in my favorite city in this most incredible venue as a thank you from a resort because I helped them out in a non-expecting way. I was just during COVID, I was just sending out positive vibes to everybody, and they wanted to say thank you to me. So it was like so incredible that all came together. And did you get to go to all four?
I did not go to all four, but I was there in the beginning run, and I had a similar but totally opposite experience about a month ago. The band was on a brief break, and you may remember Trey was doing some acoustic shows.
Uh-huh.
I got a notice from a friend that one of the hotels that I work very closely with traded a private show for 200 out on the beach. And that somehow these fools didn't remember to invite me or even inform me that it was a Water Rail Foundation production. Could have been there.
Wow.
Beach in Puerto Rico, just Trey and 199 other people.
Wow. That is crazy. I would have loved that. I actually have on my wall right there, a little Trey thing. He drew a little picture for me and, wished my wife and I, we were engaged at the time. Congratulations on getting married and stuff like that. We saw him at Radio City Music Hall when he was doing a run there in 2001, I think it was. Yeah. I made the smart move, horrible move of getting my family all involved in it. My wife's liked it, but I got both my 21-year-old boys involved in it now. And I was going to take all four of us to Forest Hills, but they're looking for $500 a seat. Right. And this gets back to our whole conversation. I would love to take my family to go see a Phish show, which I love for 30 years, the four of us all together. But it's $2,000 just for the tickets plus fees plus everything else. Come on. Yeah. I can't rationalize that. And I'm your biggest player here. So between that and the $7 cup of coffee ethos, it's like, this is why I'm worried. I just feel like I'm out.
Or as I call them, ultra luxury prices, really. Legend in the making. Glenn Haussman, thank you so much for
Thanks,
being
bro.
part of No Show.
Appreciate you.